Hey, my name's Adam Quiney, and today I'm going to talk about chapstick. So, this starts with a story, and the story begins in my undergraduate degree when I was taking computer science classes. And I remember that around this time I was addicted to chapstick, which sounds kind of funny. Not a true addiction, but it kind of felt that way. Like I noticed I always had chapstick with me, and I would put it on first thing in the morning. I had it next to my bed because sometimes I wake up, my lips are so chapped. And in class, it was just constant. I'd put on chapstick, rub it around my lips, and then I'd maybe wait 10, 15 minutes, and then I'd put more chapstick on, and so on and so forth. So first, it cost a modest sum of money to further my chapstick addiction. But there reached a point where I decided, okay, it's weird. There's people around me that don't constantly need chapstick. I'm gonna stop doing that. And I remember those first couple of days, boy, my lips were they were just dry and like hard, crusty, perhaps even. It was probably pretty gross. And I did all these funny things. Like I looked around at people to see, like, do other people have lips like this? Like, do they just live with it? Because this is agonizing. I don't like the irregularity of how they felt. And one of the things I started to do was I started to drink more water because I needed some moisture of some sort. And as time went on, I started to drink more and more water because it seemed to help a little bit. And a funny thing happened. As I drank more water, my lips started to become less chapped. But a whole bunch of other things happened too. Like I noticed I started to not feel like my skin was so tight. Often, it would feel like my skin was half a size too small, especially around my face. And I started to have a little bit more endurance and started to just it's kind of funny, but I started to feel a little more clear-headed, like I could just focus a little bit longer. Subtle things, but I noticed these. And in hindsight, the chapstick was just covering up the deeper problem, which was I was dehydrated. I was a university student who drank mostly coffee. I ate a lot of salty foods. And at the time, I wasn't drinking any water. This was before water bottles were like an inevitable thing that every student carried around campus with them. And so it's kind of funny because I was using that chapstick to address the symptom of a deeper problem. And when I removed that Band-Aid, that thing that was sort of addressing the symptom, I was forced to really take a deeper look. And now I was fortunate because I was looking for anything that would work, and water just happened to be one of those, and that was really the deeper problem. But I noticed something else too, and that was that once I had started hydrating myself and I had experienced these benefits and felt better, it became really unpleasant when I was dehydrated. Like, it wasn't enough anymore just to put on chapstick because I hated the way my face felt, and I hated how I got tired quicker, and there was just all of this stuff that I noticed. And the funny thing was, it was like, up until that point, those things had been invisible to me. I wasn't present to how much better I could feel just by drinking some water. And so there's this tendency we have as humans to do this, not just physically, but emotionally, spiritually, I would call it ontologically, by which I mean who we're being. And the thing is that we don't realize how much better we could feel. And we take steps, we apply chapstick in various ways to sort of smooth over the downsides that are present for us, right? So I wasn't present to all of these other things that were going on. I didn't realize my focus could be improved. I didn't realize I could have more endurance just by drinking water. But what I did know was my lips were chapped and I hated it, chapstick. And so I think the first thing to really take away here is to notice, like, you could be feeling a lot better. There is a way of living, there's an experience of life for a lot of people that is just simply richer than what we get to experience on a daily basis. But we just don't have an awareness of it because we've learned, like, we've established our baseline here. just like I had with my dehydration. I was like, okay, that's the baseline. That's how you start feeling. And anything above that is gravy. And anything below that, you got to fix. And we do that same thing in our lives. So easy places to see this, like the number one chapstick is money. When people are unhappy, make more money, and then you can spend that money on a new car. You can spend that money on a new house. You can, and sometimes all it is the money. Like seeing the money in your bank account is like a little boost. It's a little bit of chapstick. But just like chapstick, the trouble is that these things have a very small half-life. And it is a half-life because that first boost, the next boost is half as long. It lasts half as long before it wears off. And then the next one, half as long as that. And so the only ways to sort of address this are to increase the frequency with which we get that bump, that chapstick, whatever it happens to be, or to apply more of it, to ladle it on, to make more and more money, or to buy bigger and bigger cars, or more and more. And, you know, you can take a look at addiction kind of behaviors, and it's very similar. So what do you do with this? Well, there's a couple things. The first is you can take a look in your life and see, hey, what are the things that I might be applying like their chapstick? What are the things I'm using ontologically? What are the things I'm using spiritually, financially, to soothe some pain that might be there? What are those things that I reach for? They're almost like a feel-better drug, if you want to think about it that way. That's kind of what chapstick was. Like, the lips feel bad. Okay, I'll feel better for a little bit longer. Second, when you see something like that, to take a look at like, wow, what's the root of this? What's the deeper problem? And so when people are earning more and more money, perhaps underneath it, the problem is like, wow, I hate my job. Or I don't enjoy the career path I'm in. Or whatever. And this is tricky because this is one of the reasons people resist taking away the chapstick, because we've invested, we've put ourselves into this job, and now it's almost like we prefer blissful ignorance than discovering than like actually getting ourselves present to the truth, and then like, well, now I know I hate my job, and that money has even less sort of chapstick kind of tendencies to it. It doesn't make me feel as good because I know deep down there's a deeper problem. And hey, that's kind of the nature of transformation, is you have to be willing to go through that eye of the needle, and you have to be willing to have things go a little bit worse before they get a little bit better, or sometimes a lot worse before they get a lot better. So identify those things that you're using as like a chapstick kind of tendency, and then check in with what the deeper root of the problem is, and then identify the water. What's the thing that would actually address this? It requires courage to step through these three things, because you have to be willing to turn around and look the dragon in the face. But if you do it, it will change your life, and it will open up new vistas that you didn't even realize were possible. Suddenly, if you're willing to take those steps and go through the eye of the needle, you will feel better and richer and have a deeper relationship with yourself and the world than you ever imagined was possible. Just like hydrating yourself when you thought your baseline was of being dehydrated. Thanks.